up ahead. Affirmative 612.
This week on the Wealthy Pilots podcast, Scott, it's right around Thanksgiving. We're going to probably drop this just about a week before, so you may see it before, you may see it after Thanksgiving. So if you do, either way, folks, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. And we thought we'd talk a little bit about just kind of gratitude, right? And gratitude leading to wealth. Often there's a lot of people who subscribe to that kind of feeling and theory that, hey, it's especially around this time of the year, right? Being thankful for things, but also being charitably minded. So lots of stuff to cover there. How you doing this week? And what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, doing great. Gratitude is obviously something we preach a lot to our 7 kids that I am thankful for. And
right.
I'm not just saying that. But no, to me, and I think gratitude is interesting because, it does lead to wealth in many ways, right? And
sure, being a good steward of your resources, all those things, right?
Absolutely. And I think when you have an attitude of gratitude, I do think, and I know we like to talk a lot about technical stuff on the podcast here too. So this one's a little bit more soft, but I think an attitude of gratitude is vital for many, many aspects of our lives. Okay. First off, I was talking to one of my buddies that I was in Afghanistan with who was getting over a bout of cancer. He's doing okay, but he and I were talking about just like how, you spend time overseas and, maybe you've lost some friends or whatever. And, everybody's been through something in their life where it gets you in that reflective state of mind of just feeling like, man, I'm grateful for my life, And so I think that just as a foundational attitude, it helps you bring in a better mindset to so much of what you are doing. And that better mindset ultimately is, I think, what's leading to wealth everlasting. And when I say wealth everlasting, I mean, to me, a lot of the plans we're building are not just to help people retire. I mean, we want to bless our kids and our grandkids. And, if you've been, I'll even say, a lot of our airline pilots, I mean, they work really, really hard to get to where they're at, right?
And long hours and
Oh man, I mean, they sacrifice a lot for the jobs that they have, but you talk to any one of them and almost every single one I talk to has such an attitude of gratitude because they're like, man, I'm one health issue away from losing this. And, I was actually just talking to a new client who's a chief pilot, and he was saying, I got 1,000 guys that I'm accountable for. And, most of them are all amazing. And then there's always that one guy who's trying to get fired. And I'm like, hey man, you got the best job in the world. What are you doing? And, I thought it was just kind of funny how he worded it. But he's coming from that place of gratitude of like, man, we're really blessed to be able to have this and have it pay so well. And,
for sure.
And have the flexibility. And again, so much sacrifice to get there. And it's such a valuable skill set, obviously, to our free markets. Thare rewarding it. But
isn't it funny how there's always that too, by the way? There's always somebody, at some point you're kind of just going, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
This is a good gig. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. And that's probably somebody maybe who's not waking up every day with an attitude of gratitude. Right.
Yeah. Maybe,
and I think, to me, that gratitude for the career leads so many of these guys to do so well in so many ways, right? Because I think when you have an attitude of gratitude, you're not looking around filled with envy all the time too, right? Hey, if I'm thankful for what I have, I'm grateful for my career, I'm grateful for the prospects of my career, meaning I continue to grow and maybe get promoted to the left seat and grow my wages and grow my seniority and my flexibility, even that, the prospect of career growth is something to be thankful for. And so many of the guys have such a great attitude of gratitude. And I think the starting of that prevents you from looking around and getting filled with envy or career jealousy towards other people that might have that in other corporate kind of careers. And I think that gratitude for the career is one thing, right? And then, when we look kind of broader outside of ourselves, you can say, hey, man, even the broader market, the economy is we're so blessed to be here in the American market and economy and be able to participate in it. So much of that is just where we were born, or where we immigrated or where our ancestors immigrated to. And, it's a lot to be thankful for. The one piece I think I want to hit on is a little bit of that, resisting the temptation to keep up with the Joneses, right? And I think when we maintain an attitude of gratitude for what we have and the prospects of what we have in the future, we know that good, raises and good income producing years are in front of us. And so there's a lot of times that, it can creep up on you where you're looking at other people and maybe in your neighborhood or something, and you want to grow your lifestyle faster. That we always recommend, hey, once you kind of get all your automated savings in place, that's the time to go seek out those next levels of growing your lifestyle.
We talked about that last week's episode a little bit, right? So kind of continuing that thought process. It's like, you don't have to, it's tempting. I get it. It's tempting, especially around the holidays. You want to maybe spoil yourself or others or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that end goal and that future you in mind too, though.
Well, and I think it's one of those things too, where, I had a pilot tell me one time that it was, like, hey, you want to keep a first officer's lifestyle on a captain's salary. And I thought that was just kind of a good anecdote in terms of just trying to keep ourselves in check, that we're not getting caught up. And, I've talked to other guys that are like, man, I'm making way more than I ever thought, and I'm still carrying credit card balances, right? And so that's where I think the gratitude can get overwhelmed with the desire for lifestyle, and like we let things creep in. It's like, how do we get here? How did I get to a point where I'm making $500,000 a year flying airplanes, and I'm carrying debt that is ridiculous, And
that's when you start looking at the lifestyle changes, maybe working with an advisor too, right? Say, hey, let's start managing, especially depending on your age, let's start managing some debt. Let's start a pattern and a process of getting ourselves a little more balanced so we can walk into our latter years in a better position.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the last part here to unpack a little bit is more of that. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, Mark, but the charitable side. And so this is a time of year where people tend to get a little bit more charitably inclined, but
absolutely,
just trying to step back and looking at that almost like strategically, it's interesting when you look at the tax law now with the standard deduction being so high. A lot of our charitable giving, if you're just a W-2 employee, like most of our pilots are, many times the charitable giving is not getting you above the standard deduction anyways. And so it's had a little bit of a negative impact on, tax planning for people who are charitably inclined with the standard deduction being so high. But there is a good opportunity, especially for guys that are maybe getting closer to retirement. When you start to look at, your retirement income plan and being charitably inclined, there are many levers you can pull. I'd recommend you go look at our last episode where we talked about living off of that taxable brokerage account or after-tax brokerage account that keeps your income really low. And then in retirement, you can start to look at, hey, if we want to be continuing to tied to our church, but we don't have the income anymore, maybe we might do something where we're going to, donate some appreciated stock the same year that we're going to fund a donor advised fund, and the same year that we're going to do a Roth conversion. And you can make a gigantic difference in, moving the needle in your charitable giving and driving all sorts of tax efficiency. And
that's a great point. People don't often realize you don't have to just give actual dollars. You can do appreciated stock. So
yeah. I mean, if you're giving cash, you are giving the least tax efficient thing that you can give. And that's okay. It's not necessarily like,
it shouldn't be the thing that wags the tail, but why not be efficient while you're doing it, especially if you are, charitably minded. I mean, coming up here, the first week in December, I think, is Giving Tuesday, for example, right? It doesn't mean that you're doing it just because you're trying to, virtue signal, like you want to do it because you want to do it, but then, okay, fine, but let's use some of the rules that are in place too.
Absolutely. So, to me, I think those are like some of the key tenets of the gratitude part. And then I think the last part of it is, when we're full of gratitude, we don't leave room for greed, if that makes sense. And greed to me is one of the number one things that leads people to get bad returns. Okay. Greed can absolutely lead to some really bad behaviors where we're making bad decisions. We're taking additional risk, and we're doing things that we shouldn't do, and that have a long history of kind of showing underperformance to drive us to make bad decisions, right? We might engage in all sorts of market timing. We might be trying to buy a bunch of individual stocks. We might be trying to invest in asset classes that we don't know, or really even fully understand what we're buying. And when we start to engage in those behaviors of greed to get more return, so to speak, it actually can lead to the opposite effect, where now we're starting to do things where we're taking more risk. And I think there's absolutely a time where we should take more risk. But if we take more risk, I expect you to get more return. But greed many times leads us to do the opposite, where because we're not, thankful for certain things that we do have going on, we want more and we want more and we want more, we can get greedy and increase our risk and actually get less return. Okay. And so, I mean, it's the human element at times that candidly it leads some people to be poor investors, right? Because they get too emotionally involved in their decisions versus using, academic or data-based approaches to what they're doing and what they're investing and what they're buying, et cetera.
Yeah, and having a neutral party obviously helps with that. I mean, there's so much data out there as well. I mean, even for DIYers, Vanguard is one of the lowest options that you can use. They are constantly publishing their stuff saying, using a financial professional can help, just the behavioral analytics of things, because often we are our own worst enemy. So at the end of the day, if you need some help, as always, reach out to Scott and get yourself some time onto the calendar. We'll have links in the description below, but it's retireairlines.com. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, and of course right here on YouTube. And if you'd like to get started too, Scott, I mean, the toolkit's a great way to do. We'll have Molly jump on a second and tell how to do that, but you got some good pieces in there. So
yeah, man, I appreciate it. This is a good time of year that we're starting to book now. After Thanksgiving, we will start to book for folks out into January. So this is a great time to get the toolkit, read through it over December, over the break, reach out. We'll get you on the calendar for January because those appointments are starting to book up already. We'll get you rocking. I mean, it's a great time of year to, enjoy time with family, and then automate the non-401k savings, fix the 401k, get the estate plan in order, review our retirement plan for the first time or, the second time, whatever. And just whatever those things have been procrastinating on, order the toolkit, take a look at it in December, and let's circle back after the first year and knock it out.
all right, well, with that, we'll wrap up and get out of here. Molly, tell them how to get the toolkit, and we'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, real quick, if you haven't grabbed Scott's Financial Flight Control Toolkit yet, now is the time. This is packed with tons of helpful resources and tools like this, Scott's book, The Dichotomy of Wealth, which is a pilot's guide to maximizing wealth and cash flow in retirement. You also get access to some great guides like this one, Advice Matters, which breaks down 4 key ways a good financial advisor can help you boost your returns over time. And guides like this one on the pitfalls of emotions when it comes to investing, and this one on the HCM byline investment strategy, and more. So if you'd like your very own Financial Flight Control Toolkit, just click the link in today's show description, and Scott and the team will be happy to get one sent your way at absolutely no cost to you.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.